Hello and welcome. This is Lita Downs from the Center for Faculty Excellence, and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, Self-Care is 2 4-letter words. Don't ask me to add one more thing to my to-do list. Today's offering was originally presented by Dr. Christy Jenkins at the July 2018 National Faculty Meeting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Jenkins. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I am a core faculty member in the Clinical Mental Health Counseling program at Walden University. I also have 23 years experience working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. So it is really, really important for myself and for those that I work with to have self-care. So that's why this subject is really, really important to me. So let's get started. So for those of us who are teaching in the online venue, we have a really unique opportunity. It is so awesome to be able to check on my classes at 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 10 p.m. and not have to be tied to specific time periods. With that being said, it also takes a very special person to be an online professor because you have to have a lot of really good time management skills, be able to schedule yourself appropriately, because when things are more wide open, it can make it a whole lot harder. So what we find if we look at the research about what makes a successful online professor, they're passionate about the subject. They're passionate just about teaching in general. They value online education. Like I said, they're good at time management. They are flexible and open to feedback. They're engaging and creative, of course, because we have to gain their attention in this online world. And they're very specifically trained in online teaching as well. So with that, like I said, comes some stressors. We don't have someone right next door that we can go into their office and say, hey, you know, Betty Smith is giving me some grief on this email. What do you think about this? So then we might forward that to our supervisor and wait a while for them to get back to us. And so it can feel very alienating and isolating. And so that sets us up for a potential for burnout. So the first thing I want to look at is what fries you. When we did this at the National Faculty Meeting, I had little popsicle sticks and I had everybody write something on there and put them in the fry box. So what I want you to do right now is think of something that has been frustrating you lately about your work in the online venue. So some common online student complaints. But I have a 4.0. You know, none of my other professors have ever told me that. And this one I get quite a bit. You are really too strict with your writing requirements, especially when you teach the entry-level classes. I thought if I had $1 for every single time I wrote the period comes after the parentheses in APA style, I could probably go on a really nice vacation. So, what I want you to do is just think about one of those things. And I want you to think about how you would solve it in 20 seconds. So write down a common complaint that you have. And if someone brought that to you, what would you tell them to do about that? Another thing I want you to look at is think of something that has popped up for you. So something that's a stressor. It doesn't have to be work related because as we see, lots of things creep into our lives. We might be working just fine and work is our safe haven and it is awesome, and then something happens with your health or something happens with a relationship that you're having or just life in general. You're overscheduled and you're trying to get here and there and run the kids' places and those kind of things. So I want you to think about what has popped up for you. Now, in this respect, I don't want you to solve it. I only want you to think about the emotions and the feelings that are associated with this. Okay? So write down, I'm just overscheduled right now and it is overwhelming me, and I don't know what to do. Okay, so that would be an example. Then what are the emotions behind that? It could be fear that I'm not going to get everything done that I wanted to. It could be sadness that I don't have any time for myself. It could be anger and frustration that, I'm doing the best that I can, and I never seem to get ahead with my schedule. All of those emotions, and that's what I want you to think about with this one. I want you to think about what's the emotions behind this, because those are the things that tend to put us in a good spot for some burnout. So when we think about burnout, there's definitely some signs and some symptoms. So if you're feeling fatigued, if you're having trouble either getting to sleep or staying asleep, your concentration isn't good, you have trouble paying attention, keeping attention, a lot of physical symptomology. So you're having headaches every time you think about that project, or you think about working with that person, or every time the phone rings and it's that student. You can also set yourself up for illness. People get sick because of the amount of stress in their body. You can eat too little or too much, where it becomes a coping skill for you. You can have anxiety, depression, anger with burnout. So a lot of times we don't know what we're feeling. We have a hard time figuring out what we're feeling when we're in burnout, because some of us will just flatline. We just go through the motions and are just really just trying to muddle through. And I always tell my students that there's no finish line, because I think we think about this in regard to, oh, as soon as I finish this paper, then I'll be okay. Okay, as soon as I finish field experience, I'll be okay. Well, as soon as I finish my state board, I'll be okay. There's no finish line, and that's why we need to be taking care of ourselves at all times. So when we don't have those coping skills and we don't have a support system, we are primed and ready for burnout. So our best bet is to have some power and control in our situation, to feel safe, and to trust that we can handle this. Things will get better. We do have a safety plan, so to speak, for ourselves. And that's how we change these problems into progress, by empowering ourselves to make better decisions. And when we're dealing with this in the realm of Walden, you definitely want to default to those policies and procedures. That can help you out so much. I think sometimes we just muddle around and, oh, what would be the best thing to do? And, I don't know. And we maybe talk to somebody. But if you can go back to those policies and procedures and then reach out to your supervisor, that is a really, really great way. A lot of times to solve this stuff and not put it on yourself, because you can quote, according to our policies and procedures, you have 5 days to turn this in, kind of thing. And then it takes it off of you. So we don't have to put as much stress on ourselves as we do. So the next activity here is Skittles and M&Ms. So if you don't have some, or you know where some are, pause this, go get some Skittles, go get some M&Ms, or even different colored crayons would be good. So you probably have some of those, or colored pencils, or those kind of things. And so I just want to see where you're at right now. What is your state of mind? So when we think about our brain, it's a very historical organ. It stores all of our memories. And these memories are coded by our senses. So hear, see, taste, touch, and smell. So I want you to just take a second and think about what you're feeling right now. And you can pause this. Think about what you're feeling and look at the different colors. If you're blue, you're sad. If you're red, you're angry. Purple is happy. Yellow is scared. Green is jealous. And brown is just crappy. I just feel yucky. So think about these things. And like I said, you could pause it, write it out with some crayons, think about the Skittles and M&Ms. And the good thing after that is that you get to eat them. So that's got to make you feel a little more purple, right? All right, our next activity is a tree in a storm. So I want you to think of an extremely stressful event that you have been through in your life. I want you to take a piece of paper, section it off into 3 sections. I want you to think of yourself as that tree. And you can see the picture that I have here. The left is very lush and green, and it looks like it's summertime, and the sky's blue and beautiful. And the middle one is still beautiful. I mean, I love fall and seeing the leaves change, and I think they're even more beautiful than how they started out. And then you look at the end where this tree has lost all its leaves, but look at the beautiful sunset. Like, we've learned some lessons here, and I'm different, but I'm still together. I'm still doing it. So I want you to think of yourself before, during, and after the event that you're envisioning. And then I want you to think about some key things here. Like, how were you able to recover? And did you fully recover? Are you still working through it? Are you still going through it? Will you always be changed? What did the tree look like afterwards? And look at the bottom of the tree, so at the roots, where a tree would have its roots, and write what either nourished you or depleted you. Make 2 different sections there. And what helped you to be successful or held you back in the situation. This one's a really, really important activity, and I really want you to think about this because it's so important going forward when we have another extremely stressful event to build on what we have done in the past. So what worked for us, what didn't work for us, and looking and seeing how we can build on those strengths and stay away from some of those things that have depleted us. So next activity, what sticks with you? So think of a time when something went really well. So we've been dealing with a lot of stress and chaos and nonsense and drama, and this one is really more strength-based. So something really went well with a student or any time in your life, and I want you to draw a picture of the event. And again, in these activities, you can definitely pause this and take your time and really do this. So add additional items to tell me what were the emotions, what were the feelings involved in the event. And so underneath or to the side, I want you to answer these questions. What made this meaningful? And how does this recharge your batteries? And what keeps you in the game? So when I think about times when things really go well, when I go to residency with the students, I absolutely love that. I love that interaction, live interaction with the students. So it makes it very meaningful for me. Working with survivors of abuse for 23 years is very depleting. And so when I get with students and they are so stinking excited about saving the world and helping people and all of these things, it recharges my batteries. And it makes me know that what I'm doing is important and that I can do it for another day. And that's really what keeps me in the game. So wellness, when we think about wellness, it's so holistic and it encompasses so many different things. Like if you can see on the wheel here, like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, there's so many different things that come together for wellness. And so really it's up to you what you think is easy for me to say, for you to incorporate. So for some folks, I love to recommend relaxation techniques and breathing exercises for my counseling clients, because you can do those anywhere. Nobody needs to know that you're practicing anything, which is really kind of cool. Meditation and guided imagery is awesome because it can take you to a place that you love. And, when I was pregnant with twins and getting ready to give birth to them, and they were stuck, and nobody knew that they were wedged in together. They were both trying to come out at the same time. So can you see the competition starting already? And I remember they wanted me to think about a very happy memory. And I thought about being on vacation in Grand Cayman and just how the water looked and the sunset looked and just the feeling that you got. And so that was really helpful for me. Some people, swear by exercise, and exercise is such a neat experience because you get all these endorphins and, your body's moving, and then at night you're more tired to get a more restful sleep. And, and some people will say, the only way you'll see me running is if someone's chasing me, so you better run too. So that might not be your jam, and that's okay. Some folks get really into their spirituality, whatever that looks like. That doesn't have to be church necessarily. So some people find their spirituality from nature, going out and doing hikes and different things like that. Eating better is always a good idea, but for those of us who are overscheduled, it can be hard. It can be hard to eat at an appropriate time, or you've missed a couple of meals, now you're overeating. So paying attention to that is really important. And then that work-life balance. And if anybody has that, God bless you, because for many of us, we struggle so hard with that one. So I would say these things don't have to be all or nothing. That's where we fail, because we say, I need to exercise 30 minutes every single day. Well, that's not feasible for a lot of people. And so if you can get exercise in a couple of days a week, feel good about that, and don't, I missed 2 days, now I'm just not going to do it anymore. Get back on the horse, because that's what keeps this going, and you get a better work-life balance. So the next activity is a Hershey Kiss activity. And, you can do this with any sort of wrapped candy. So, like I said, you can always pause these activities, go get this, come back here. So if you have a Hershey Kiss or some sort of wrapped candy, I want you to close your eyes and think about that candy. I want you to, and if you don't have the candy, that's okay too. So just envision this in your mind. And then hold the candy in your hand and feel the wrapper. And I want you to think about what it's like to unwrap the kiss and the sound that it makes. Then I want you to smell the candy, or imagine smelling the candy. Then I want you to place the candy in your mouth. And if you don't have the candy, envision what that would be like, what that would taste like, those kind of things. And the reason for this activity is what I said in the previous slide. We are overscheduled. We are so busy. There are times when I will have dinner at 10:30 p.m. And so what am I doing? I am mowing down so that I can finish homework with the kids, give them baths, do all this stuff. And I'm not thinking about what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, those kind of things. So just be more mindful about what we're putting into our bodies. And the biggest thing that I want to stick with you is to remember to laugh. There's so much research on laughter. It boosts our immune system, decreases stress hormones, that cortisol, releases endorphins and neurotransmitter serotonin. It's similar to the antidepressant in an SSRI. So it is such a good thing to create social bonds, and it actually fosters brain connectivity. So now here's the kicker. Women laugh 126% more than men. Men usually instigate the laughter, which is interesting. Women rate sense of humor in top 3 for a mate. And men rate women who laugh a lot higher than those who don't. People want to know that you're fun and that you're enjoying yourself. If you just, I have clients sometimes that remind me of Eeyore. Oh, I lost my tail again. Oh, everything's so awful. And those are the hardest clients to treat because they're at such a flat line. And so increasing your ability to have fun is so incredibly important. And that's different for different people. Some folks like certain shows and then other people don't find those shows funny. So whatever it is for you, if it's going to a comedy club or if it's playing with a baby, whatever that looks like. And so there's also things that we can do within Walden. So the National Faculty Meeting is a great way to connect and recharge. We, in the School of Counseling, we have a lot of people. We might have 60 faculty members that show up to a National Faculty Meeting. And it's so neat to just be with them and have fun and just kind of just learn together. It's awesome. So one thing I wanted to show you is this cat video. It's called the Sad Cat Diary, and this is just hilarious. So there is one cuss word in it, so I apologize for the language, but I believe it's well worth the video.
Dear Diary, the authorities have removed the pair of black pants from the couch. There is no longer any place for me to sleep. I have vomited 3 times in protest, but there is no sign that anything will change. My only other hope for rest is on the computer keyboard, which is nearby, but sadly no one is currently using it. I will wait. Dear Diary, my food dish is now only half full. It is obvious that I will soon starve to death. I have repeatedly tried to draw attention to my predicament with the authorities, but they are clearly either stupid, deaf, or just cruel. This may be my last entry. Dear Diary, it has come to my attention that the authorities have 2 hands, but seem to have made it the sadistic policy only to pet me with one of them at a time. Half of love is just low, which is how I feel. My spirit is breaking. Dear Diary, I've decided to plead with the authorities to rub my belly. I think it'll do me good in my current condition. I would like to receive 2 rubs exactly. A 3rd one, and I will bite the shit out of them as per protocol. Wish me luck. Dear Diary, the water dish continues to vex me. The authorities seem to taunt me with this cruel liquid that has neither smell nor distinguishing visual markings. A sad anniversary. This is the 900th day that my nose has been unintentionally wetted. Dear Diary, yesterday I put in a simple request regarding the door to the garden, but seemingly out of sheer spite, the authorities refused to hold the door open long enough for me to decide whether to go outside or inside, or outside or inside. Dear Diary, the authorities have punished me for taking a crap on the living room floor. This, despite my efforts to distribute the litter evenly throughout the house. I am convinced that they are madmen, devoid of reason. Dear Diary, the squirrel is back again today. It mocks me. I will try and release my mind from this torment and groom myself for 4 hours. Dear Diary, I have been stalking an insect on the wall for the past 3 days now. All of my attempts to capture it have been thwarted. However, today, on further inspection, I found out that the insect was in fact a thumbtack. There is no logic in this place. Dear Diary, it is 3 in the morning. The authorities have closed the door to the bedroom. I can only assume that they have forgotten about me and have left me here to die. As a last resort, I will stand post for the rest of the night and sing the song of my people in hopes that they rescue me. Dear Diary, when the authorities poop, I have tried to poop in the bathtub litter box with them in a show of solidarity. I have yet to experience any gratitude. Dear Diary, my attempts to destroy the terrible plant have all been for naught. Somehow, almost as if by some evil magic, a new one has appeared in its place. I will have to start over now. Like Sisyphus, I am bound to hell.
Okay, so I think that video is very interesting because it's hilarious, for one, but two, the reason why I include it in here, the most important piece, is perception is reality. And so, they obviously did not leave that beautiful kitten outside of their room to perish, but that's how he felt, and his perception was, that is what they've done to me. And so I want to leave us here with this. Your perception, your spin on things, what you are taking in at this moment has the ability to shape how we feel about it. And so if everything is so stinking negative all the time and, oh, the world is against you and, oh, this is so awful, that is what you're going to find. And so changing our perception a lot of times is a great way for us to change our lives and to stop all this burnout from happening. So I want to thank you so much for coming and spending a half hour with me today, because I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're overwhelmed and stressed and busy, but you can always rewind this piece and go back to some of these activities and take a lot of time with them, or get them started, or know what you're doing with each of them, and really take your time with these. So I appreciate you so much for coming and watching this today, and I am wishing you wellness. Thank you so much.